Hi, everyone. This is LOA Uncorked with Gina and Holli. We intend to have some fun around law of attraction principles. Let's discover and unleash the magic that exists inside ourselves. Tune in as we go on the hero's journey together to uplevel our lives with no bullshit, all truth, and nothing but fun. Grab a glass and join our virtual VIP conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOA Uncorked. This is Holli.
And this is Gina.
And we have a special guest today, Gina.
Big special guest, like superhero special.
Yes, her name is like a superhero. Lauren Featherstone is here from the Body Shop Gilbert in Arizona. And she is a nutrition coach and a personal trainer.
Yes.
Now, listen.
Firsthand, you know.
I do. Okay, so there's
this woman.
She has superpowers.
I know.
So
it's nice she gives them to you every once in a while.
It's true. And so I will say that we first learned of the Body Shop in Gilbert, Arizona from the Skinny Confidential.
That Lauren Bostic.
I know.
Everett's Bostic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She's amazing.
So one of Lauren's colleagues was on that, Eric, who's a founder, I think, and Lauren can speak to it, was on there. And I don't know, I listened to it and I was like, ding, 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 this makes so much sense to me. And for myself and you, Gina, we all have really struggled with eating and maintaining weight and training and all of it. And so and I used to have like 4 different sizes in my closet. And so when I heard him speak and I thought about you, I was like, oh, Gina, you have to listen. And then I got connected with Lauren on New Year's Eve. And so I reached out and said, hell,
just in time to start the resolution the next day, right? Yeah.
And so I think, Lauren is in the business of transforming bodies. And I know we talked about the elixir. So being happy is part of it. So go back to our elixir series. I think there's a lot of nuggets in there that talk about how to get in a good spot, even, with working with somebody like Lauren. I think the elixir series actually complements that.
I agree.
And so you need to be joyful or it's hard to accomplish anything. So welcome, Lauren Featherstone.
Hi, Lauren.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you.
Yes, I love that you're here today. And there's one other thing that, we really share.
What?
You don't know, Gina.
I don't know.
Oh, I know.
Feather tattoos.
Oh, do you have a feather?
Yes, I do. So Holli originally picked me as her coach because my last name is Featherstone and she has a feather tattoo. What she didn't know is then in February, my dad and I were going to get feather tattoos because of our last name, and my dad had tongue cancer, so we got the feather in the shape of a cancer ribbon. Mine is on my ribs, his is on his calf, so I can't show you mine right now, but I am wearing my feather bracelets for you today, Holli. So
I do have my feather bracelets too. Oh,
love that.
We're cosmic.
You
buddies.
clearly are. You clearly are. That's pretty special, actually.
It is special. It's a special story.
No, I love this story about your dad too.
And it's a beautiful, she showed me a picture of it. It's beautiful.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So maybe you can start, Lauren, by telling us about your journey and how you ended up helping people transform their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So I've always been into health and fitness. I was the 13-year-old girl on the elliptical reading Self magazine and all about how to lose 10 pounds in 10 days and all that. So I actually went to ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. So my degree is actually in print journalism because I wanted to write for a health magazine. Fast forward, I also got a certificate in events management, ended up going that route. should have probably gotten my bachelor's in something health related, then the master's in journalism, but I wouldn't be where I am today if I had done that. So everything happens for a reason. I have been on my own health journey from doing Weight Watchers with my mom when I was in 8th grade, to doing Slimfast, HCG, Paleo, isogenics, Herbalife, like you name it, I've probably tried it. And then I discovered macros. I discovered flexible dieting, actually through one of my friends who bodybuilds. So I started doing that, and I can get into what macros are a little bit later. So I started doing that myself, and I still always loved working out. I was, we like to say, skinny, fat, and no muscle, but didn't weigh much on the scale. I've been very overweight. I've also competed in bikini competitions most recently. So I've been all over the gambit, totally understand where all my clients are coming from. And even though I was in corporate events, I'd worked there for 7 years, I knew that that wasn't my end game because I wanted to help people. I went through the trial and error, and I want to help people not go through that. If I can skip those steps for them and help them find that healthy balance and reach their goals, and that's what I meant to do. So about 4 years ago, I actually started working with Tommy, who is, as you mentioned, Eric's partner at the Body Shop Gilbert. So I started working with him after I had lost about 45 pounds on my own, lost another 45 with him, competed in my first bikini competition, and I've stayed with him ever since. I've now done 2 shows, and I'm hoping to do another one in the spring. So we'll see if I can do that. And I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I always planned to make the switch to the fitness industry this year. I turned 30 in April. So by my 30th birthday, I'm like, I want to quit corporate America, and I want to help people. COVID happened. And as you can imagine, corporate events kind of died last year. So I got laid off, and I'm like, all right, this is my chance. So went through all my certifications and started working online with people on their nutrition, including Holli. And now I also train people in person, and I haven't looked back.
Oh, I love it. I mean, sometimes the pandemic was a beautiful gift for a lot of people. It was hard for some, but what a gift it was for you to kind of nudge you in that right direction.
Nudging her out on her fitness, journey.
Yep. Expediting.
Helping others. It's a big deal when you've come so far yourself, and then to be able to gift that to others. I think it's a big deal.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
And this is a huge thing, because what I think about what you do, Lauren, is, and I've done everything, HCG,
all of it, yeah.
keto,
Isogenics.
Listen, you're on keto, and as soon as you eat a piece of bread, you're up 10 pounds. I mean, how does that happen?
Say that louder.
It's so damn frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's not a trend. So what we're talking about today is not a trend, like the low fat trend and then the whatever trend. This is not a trend.
Right.
This is something that's, I think you can talk to it, science-based. It's the long haul, but not in an ugly way, in a liberating way. So maybe you can talk. That's what I said. I said, when I think about Lauren Featherstone, other than we have cool feathers, I think what she created for me is some liberation. So I would be mostly keto, and I would watch my carbs and get down. As soon as I ate anything with carbs, including a drinking night, I'm up 5 pounds, literally. And I was like, I can't take it. And you think it's only water, but somehow your jeans don't fit. So I'm like, well, how is that water? My jeans aren't fitting, you know? And so it was just the most frustrating journey. And then I'd be getting ready to go to an event or something and try to, and I'm not in the bikini. Well, we're going to talk about bikinis.
Yeah, we will.
We're going to talk about bikinis.
Yes,
we're going to talk about asses. That's happening soon.
We're
going to talk about something. But I would have to figure out how to dial back my weight to get ready for an event. And I had no skills. 0 skills. So maybe you can kind of talk about how this isn't a fad, and how you approach this journey, and I'm going to call it a journey, but you can call it whatever you want to, because I don't want to scare people, but it's not 10 pounds in 10 days. Crazy.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we get a lot of people that come to us and then they decide, you know, well, I'm just going to go back to keto. It worked for me before. I'm just going to go back to isogenics. It worked for me before. And without being mean, did it though? Because then why are you here?
Right.
So yes, it gets you to lose 20 pounds in a month or whatever, but then you didn't keep it off. So it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't a lifestyle. And let's be real. No one wants to drink shakes for the rest of their life. No one wants to not eat a piece of bread for the rest of their life. And keto is such a trend right now. And it does work very well for some people. But what other people don't understand is, yeah, you eat a piece of bread, you cheat on it, and you knock your body out of ketosis. It takes you 2 weeks to get back into that. And that's not a lifestyle. That's not sustainable. So what's really important for me is that my clients also get an education, because let's be honest, you're not meant to have a nutritionist or a coach for your whole life. That's not the point. You don't want to track your food for the rest of your life. That's also not the point. So for me, it's really important that clients learn, and yes, there are meal plans, but there's no off-limit foods. It literally comes down to science. So macros, for those of you who don't know, are your protein, carbs, and fats. And each one of those carries a caloric quantity. So 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. 1 gram of carb is 4, 1 gram of protein is 4. So all we're doing is we're taking the calories that you should be eating and breaking it into those proper portions. That's it. It's not a magic pill. Most women are under eating. So a lot of times we have to add food. And as Holly can attest to, she ate more and lost weight. So we're so scared of that, because like those magazines I read growing up, ironically, they teach us to eat 1,200 calories and do 2 hours of cardio every day to lose weight, or cut out carbs or fat. And you don't have to do that. Right now I'm adding food. We call it reverse dieting, and I'm losing weight and eating almost 200 grams of carbs a day. And almost 70 grams of fat. It's so very possible. But we've created so many bad habits that we have to break. And I like to use the analogy, you know, a train doesn't run without coal. So if you come to me and you're eating 1,200 calories and you want to lose weight, but you're afraid to add food, where are we going to go from there? Like, you've taken all the coal out of the engine. So what is there left to burn? Are you going to eat 500 calories? I mean, I've done that on HCG, and it's not fun and it's not sustainable. So that's kind of what, you know, we really try to teach our clients, is understanding the body, understanding how to fuel your body properly. And then once we reach those goals, how to maintain that and just live your life.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. And so I want to pause right there, because Gina is in a similar camp in that she doesn't eat and can't lose weight. And so many women. So what I heard in the very beginning, what inspired me was that, how do you lose weight when, and I was like, I don't want to count calories, you know, I'm just going to count carbs. It's so much easier. But when you're already at 1,000, I think I was at like 1,100, 1,000 to 1,200, 1,300. I was up and down. There's nowhere to go from there. You're eating 500 calories. I did that under HCG. So it's like, well, you can't keep subtracting. I mean, you go crazy. I mean, honestly, I mean, maybe you wouldn't because you don't eat. Okay. But your body isn't being healthy.
But I didn't feel well. I mean,
yes.
So there's a difference between hunger, which I have even as a kid, I was not hungry a lot of times. I'm terrible at breakfast. Eric helped me. I eat breakfast now. I do think that really helps. I think that helps my appetite throughout the day. If I go too long, it's almost a point of no return. It's hard for me to get hungry. So I have really done a better job of eating earlier, eating often, smaller portions, and keeping my body fed throughout the day. I feel 100 times better. I really do. And he slowly worked it up for me. So it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was having to shove food in my mouth. I mean, I had a hard time the first couple of weeks getting used to it and keeping up with the cadence of it, but it's simple, it's easy, and tons of options. As Lauren said, Eric was fantastic in laying that all out for me. And I still use it all today. I haven't worked with Eric in a couple, 3 months, but I'm still using the same protocol, the same practices.
Exactly.
I know I need to tweak here and there, and I need to get back with him, but overall it's been working really well for me. And it does take a while. From what I noticed, it does take a while. Maybe you can speak to this, Lauren. It does take a while for your body to kind of almost get it. Kind of like when you break ketosis and then you have to get back in it. For me, it feels like if I ever get off the rails, it takes me a few weeks to get back so that my body's functioning at the highest level it should, or the way it's responding to food the way it should. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, as you said, we make very, very small additions. And same when we're going the other way, so the idea with reverse dieting is we try to get your body up to its caloric maintenance. Then we sit there for a couple of weeks because, as you said, your body needs to get used to that. And then we diet back down to help you with that fat loss phase. And then we want to bring you back up to maintenance. And from there, most people are pretty ritualistic eaters. So that's where, kind of like you said, you really don't have to track every day because you're kind of eating the same things that you did with him anyway. But it does sometimes take a while for your body to catch up. Even with eating more, a lot of times you might maintain, and people get frustrated with that, but they're forgetting about some of those non-scale victories that you mentioned, like they have more energy or their clothes are fitting better. And we call that body recomposition because, as we all know, but yet it's hard for us to come to terms with, I guess would be the right words, muscle weighs more than fat. Mm-hmm. So the scale may not change, but your body will drastically change. And then we get into that fat loss phase, and then you'll see the scale start dropping. That's when your body is catching up and, as you're saying, like getting it. And then really, you shouldn't have those big fluctuations when you do cheat like you did with keto. I can go on vacation and come back, maybe gain 2 pounds, but I remember going on vacation and gaining 10, 12 pounds. So when your body is working properly and your digestion is working and you're prioritizing movement and you're drinking water, you can live your life. You can drink, you can have a cheat meal. We don't even like calling them that. We call them refeed meals because that has such a negative connotation.
Yeah. I love that.
I do too.
I love that. So the reverse dieting is really, you're taking it from whatever you're at, 1,000, 1,200 calories, and you're adding little by little. That is the scariest thing to do. Yeah. It's fearful, but I think, Lauren, if you can speak to your clients, most people lose weight even during that period of time.
I did.
You did too. I did too. I did. So can you speak to that most people, there's a fear? And
Holli's a great example. She was fearful of that. And I get it because I've been there, because again, we haven't been trained to think that way, especially as women. And then she started seeing the progress with eating more. And then, in fact, when we dieted down, that was more difficult than eating more and losing the weight. I have another client who I had her eating 1,000 calories more than when she started with me. She didn't work out and she lost 20 pounds. She got to the point where she was eating so much, she was like, can we please start cutting? So it is very possible. And you do have to be compliant. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not losing weight, or, okay, but you're 50% compliant. So you do have to put in the work. I'm not saying there's no work to it. But when you do, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, no, I love it. In fact, when we dieted back down, I was compliant going up, really compliant. And I was like, oh my God, I'm finally getting to eat. It was so fabulous. Like I said, liberating. And then I'd get on the scale the next morning and I'm fine. Okay. Or I've lost a half pound or something. I was fine. And then when we dieted back down, it was very hard for me. And then my compliance went down. And then of course my results went down. Now I'm working towards goal again, and she has me on something else. Okay. Now, but, all of it is a mind game. And
100%.
And you're right about the ritualistic eating. If you can just get in that habit. And the other thing that I think that you guys do that's different than anything else is when you speak with Lauren, when you're becoming a client of hers, you say what you want every day. And I have my morning elixir from Sakura, the metabolism powder, which is amazing. I put that in my coffee in the morning, and I'm on decaf. I've gotten off caffeine. But
good for you.
Yeah, it's
I can't do that.
It's good. And only if I need it, like I'll have one, but usually every day. But I have the coffee and the metabolism powder, which has fat in it and some carbs, and she counts that. And then I'm like, oh, I really like a little chocolate. So she counts it, and you have a plan. So she counts it for you. You don't really need to count unless you go off plan.
Right.
And then you need to account for it. So, I mean, it's super simple. So maybe you want to talk about how you do that for your clients.
Yeah. We customize everything for our clients because, like you're saying, we want it to be something that they can accomplish. So like, you know, we work with a lot of nurses too, and they have issues eating throughout the day. So I'm not going to give them all this food that they have to cook when they're on shift, and maybe all they can have are bars and shakes. So we really do customize it. And as you mentioned, I always ask my clients, what are your non-negotiables? Do you put creamer in your coffee? Do you want a glass of wine at night? Let's just account for those instead of telling yourself you can't have it. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have it and then some. And then that's going to be on top of what you've already had for the day versus let's just plug that in and work our day around it. I mean, I can't drink my coffee without creamer. So that is always in my plan. And I have a lot of moms who are like, I need my glass of wine at night. Great, let's do that. You want ice cream at night? Fine. You want Cheez-Its? Fine. Like, let's just account for those things. And that's the nice thing about macros is it is flexible. So you can have whatever you want. If you are really craving a cheeseburger that day and you want one, you can have it. You just need to account for it. Now, with that being said, if you fill your day with foods like that, then you're going to be hungrier because you might only get to eat once or twice that day. Oh. So filling your day with higher volume foods like vegetables or, you know, rice, potatoes, eggs, lean protein, you're going to be able to eat a lot more and a lot more often throughout the day. But if you have that day where you want a donut, you can have the donut.
Right.
I love that.
What I loved about working with the Body Shop and Eric, I had Eric obviously, and is you understand the macros. So it's not even the amount of calories you're eating, but it's the combination of those calories. And
yes,
that is kind of the magic. And that is, I suspect, I don't know your formula, but I suspect that's different for everybody. You got to try something out and then move some stuff around. Is that kind of how you guys figure out what I need versus what Holli needs versus what you need, Lauren?
Yes, exactly. And so we ask everyone for a 3-day food diary prior to working with them so that we get an idea of how you're currently eating, how many calories you're eating, how often, so that we can start basically in that same realm. So if you are eating 1,200 calories, but you're eating low carb, high fat, moderate protein, then we're going to take that same 1,200 calories, but break it up a little bit different so that you're eating in those proper macro portions. It is going to be different for everyone. You know, I also work with a lot of people who are insulin resistant, so they are going to have to be a little bit less carb based, but I still work to really keep their carbs pretty high just with the proper ones. So everyone's very different. Everyone has different health conditions, different goals, different activity levels. So it's very, very custom to you. And then also talking about the flexibility, we do give you the 3 meal plans based on that. And, you know, let's say you're a mom and you don't want to cook dinner, something different for everyone that night. I try to make sure that your dinner is something that everyone will enjoy. So maybe your lunch is boring. It's salad with chicken, whatever, but then you get to have tacos at night or pasta or a burger. So I really try to customize it to your lifestyle, because if it's not easy for people, they're not going to do it.
Right.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
And I love that, Gina. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting that Eric said on the Skinny Confidential is that even alcohol is at least 30 carbs. Correct me if I'm wrong, 30 carbs. And the thing that he said was, this is the crazy thing, is like, you know, the Trulies and all those things. I don't really like them, but I used to drink them because I thought, okay, I'm only getting 2 carbs. He's like, no, it's 30 carbs. Okay. So shout out all these ladies who think they're not getting carbs. It's 30 carbs. I was like, well, I'd much rather have a glass of nice red wine than a Truly in a can. Okay.
Exactly.
You know, like, let's do it right. And so for me, Lauren, since I've been doing this for a while, I know if I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I usually want to, okay, if I'm out and about at least, okay, you know, like at least if we're partying, it's 2. Okay. If I'm at home at night, maybe 1. Okay.
When
maybe
it's 3, we're in trouble.
we're in
I
trouble.
was gonna say,
I know, but
The M&Ms do not come far behind.
I
mean,
know, because
yes.
then
munch, she's hungry.
the switch in my brain goes off. But I would just say, like, those 30 carbs, that what I do is I think, okay, I know, because I'm a ritualistic eater, generally speaking, I know, well, I'm going to cut out the bread on the sandwich for lunch, and I'm going to do a rice cauliflower, which is one of my favorite things, with chicken or something like that, or shrimp. And I'm going to be good to go for my glass of wine. So that's the power that she gives
The
you,
education
that
part
you
of it.
don't have to go and count and calculate points or anything like that. You have it down.
Agreed, 100%.
yes. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you decide to cut out a piece of fruit and have your glass of wine, okay, there's a 10 carb difference there. That's not going to make or break you, you know, and that's something that we also have to come to realize. We're tough on ourselves, and we beat ourselves up, and we think if we're not perfect, we're not going to have results. And I think you've come to see that you can have a bad week and still have results, or have a bad week and get right back on track the next week, and you're fine. The alcohol thing is huge. So I'm glad you brought that up. That is a huge misconception. Alcohol is its own macro, and we don't have a way to track it. So you can either track it as carbs or fats. So let's take the Truly, for example. You know, there are 100 calories. They tell you there's 4 carbs in it. Well, as I told you earlier, 1 carb is 4 calories. So the 4 carbs only counts for 16 of those 100 calories. So where are they coming from? So you have to account for that.
That's my HR math. It's like,
She's an HR by day. And so she always calls it HR math.
Rounder up or
So, like, is that line?
Yeah.
I get confused by that, how they can package that and make us all think
how do
that.
they do that?
You know, I don't know, as far as like FDA regulations, how they can do that, because nutrition labels are only supposed to have, I think it's like a 5 to 10% forgiveness on that. So I honestly, I don't know. That's something maybe I'll look into, but, and a lot of people too, well, I'll finish on the alcohol first. So you should take that can of Truly, and you should either divide it by 4 for your carbs. So that'd be 25, or divide it by 9 for your fat. So that's about 11 grams of fat. So like you're saying, you know, would I rather have a tablespoon of olive oil on my vegetables, or a Truly, or a glass of wine? I'm probably going to pick the glass of wine at the end of the night, than the olive oil. So it is making those changes. But with that being said, about nutrition labels too, I like using the Nut Pods creamer a lot of the times in my coffee. And I got one. I could go pull it out of the fridge, but I forget what it was. It said it was like 10 calories, but the macros didn't add up. Well, they were figuring out the calories based on removing the sugar alcohol from the carbs, which is something that a lot of keto people do, right? They only count net carbs. But how can you do that on a nutrition label? You're deciding for me that I'm not counting my sugar alcohols. That makes 0 sense. So it is something they do put on there. The carbs are, you know, minus the 2 grams of sugar alcohols, whatever it was, but it is just something to really be aware of. And, you know, with us, again, we're counting the macros, not the calories. So it's still correct if you're counting your carbs and fats, but it's just interesting what they can get away with on labels.
Well, and from my standpoint, okay, I'm crazy enough that I've looked at that into that before you, Lauren, and I don't do well at the net. Yeah, I have to count all carbs. I've never done well at the net. So by them making that, because I know those Nut Pods.
Yes.
And yes, it's 10 calories, but I've never calculated it to make sure it was right. But thank God I've given up on them, because that doesn't work for me. I have to count all carbs.
You should. It's very interesting. Well, that's what makes this so confusing. I think, nutrition, there's so much science to it, and there are so many layers of complexities that I think make it even harder for people who aren't super educated, don't really know exactly, don't understand the full science. I mean, I think in concept, we all understand it, right? It should be balanced meals and, you know, yada, yada. But I think until you understand it, it's really hard to navigate by yourself. And then, like you said, you layer on all these different approaches to it that, you know, swing you this direction, you want no carbs, swing you this direction, all carbs, whatever it is. It's just really tough to find that, what is that perfect balance?
Well, and I thought I was super educated, and we can say this because they'll never invest in us, but I was on this Prolon kick. I thought I was going to eat somebody when I was on it. I don't know if you're aware of Prolon. It's that 5-day fast where you'd lose, like,
she talked me into it once too.
I don't know. I mean, like, I did. I talk her into everything. This is what I do. And she's like,
eventually I caved, Lauren. I'd rather do it than have to listen to it.
It's
right, exactly.
I forced her into Prolon. I forced her into everything. But when I did the Body Shop, I'm like, wait until you hear this. She's like, oh shit, here's another one.
Right, another thing.
This is the most sense you've ever made, Holly.
So true.
You can't refute it. It's science. It's just facts, you know?
I mean, we were down to 500 calories, 600 calories. I thought I was going to eat somebody. Okay. Like, I honestly,
eating like fermented.
And then they say, don't work out. Okay. I'm like, come on, I can't even go walk. I don't know. Anyway. So, I don't want to bash them, but I thought I was educated, but I wasn't. And so
she was crabby. I mean, we all had to deal with her.
I was crabby. Okay. It was awful. And I'm never crabby. I'm never crabby.
No, you really aren't.
So why do people not reach their goals, in your opinion?
I think that what you're just talking about, education, is a huge part of it, because people think they're doing the right thing, just like you did. And everyone's body is different. So if you don't understand your body and how foods affect you, I think that's a huge part of it. I think that people want a quick fix. And so they're not willing to play the long game and put in the hard work, so they might lose it and then they gain it back. You know, everyone has a different reason, but I think that it really comes down to finding what works for your lifestyle. But either way, to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. Just like to gain muscle, you need to be in a caloric surplus. I mean, it's pretty simple. But it's not simple when maybe you don't understand that fruit's a carb. People think fruits and vegetables are healthy. They are healthy. I'm not saying they're not, but you know, if you eat 5 bananas a day, like, that's a lot of sugar, that's a lot of carbs, but people think that they're doing something right because they're eating something healthy. So I really just think that
it's a banana. Not a ho-ho, but it is. I mean, sugar, at the end of the day, the body processes the carb in a similar fashion, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep, it'll turn into glucose. Yep.
Yeah, people really believe that. I have a niece that was like pre-diabetic, and she's like, oh my God, I have to get off gluten. I have to do this, that, and the other thing. And I said, she's vegetarian too. And I said, well, what are you eating? Well, 5 bananas. Exactly what you just said. Okay. Oh she opened her refrigerator and there was like fruit to here. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then there's a diet program that gives no points. I mean, that gives it away, right? Oh yeah. No points for sugar. And I thought, no, you get fat on sugar and you become a diabetic on not on sugar, on fruit. People don't know that. Okay. They don't know that. And she's an educated woman. She didn't know that. I was like, dude, you are not pre-diabetic. Just stop eating all that shit. Like, have an egg. Okay. And I go, if that's not vegetarian, have a Morningstar sausage. Okay. Like we get this done in a vegan, even in a vegan way. Yeah. And so, I think education's a big deal. So let's switch to personal training. Do you do personal training as well? And can you talk about like transforming your body in a personal training way?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, so I do both online and in-person personal training. So for my online clients, you know, whether they want to work out at home or whether they want to go to the gym, we can customize a program for them based on the equipment available, how many days a week they want to work out, their, you know, activity level, all that. And then also we do in-studio training at the Body Shop here in Gilbert. And really, you know, it's about understanding where your clients are starting. You know, I have people who have done CrossFit and know what they're doing when they're lifting. And then I have people that have never lifted a day in their life. So just like the nutrition, it's all about customizing it to them. And I like to work on something called progressive overload. So what that means is whether my clients are online or in person, I put them on a 4-week block of training plans. So when you do legs, it's the same leg workout each day or each day in that week for 4 weeks. That way, you know, if you do 20 pounds on something this week, you know, next week to try for 25, to try for 30, to try for 35, and keep progressing and overloading your muscles versus, you know, you go to the gym and you know, like, I did 20 pounds last week. That's what I'll grab this week. Well, then you're not making any progress. Or doing a different exercise each week. Yes, we should try different exercises, but then you don't know how you're progressing with that muscle group at the exercise the week before. So I train all my clients on a 4-week block. And then after that 4 weeks, then we'll switch to a new block of workouts. And it really keeps them motivated because you want to compete with yourself. I mean, you're your only competition, right? And so when you know, like, okay, I did 2 sets at 20, 1 at 25. So this week I'm going to start at 25 and that's easy. Then you can go to 30. I mean, that is motivation more so than the scale for so many people. And as women, a lot of people think, oh, if I lift weights, I'm going to get bulky. Not at all. I used to hate my arms and I started lifting, doing bikini competitions, and we love the word toned. They get extremely toned, but I'm never bulky. You know, some people want to look bulky. We can do that too, but don't be afraid to lift weights. It's not going to make you bulky. Muscle is going to weigh more than fat, like we talked about before. So don't be afraid of the scale. And that is why we also do progress pictures. That is huge, huge, huge. You don't have to share them with anyone. You can just take them yourself even, but comparing the visual progress, especially when you start working out, is so important.
I think the weight thing is a huge, when we talk about misnomers with females in particular, I think it's a huge misnomer. And I think, you know, whether it's bulky or they just don't understand the importance of just strength, core strength, and how those muscles burn differently if they're activated and working and stronger and all those things, right? I just think it's a huge, and I just don't think, at least in my generation, I don't think we were taught how to use them.
No,
right.
The girls did not go in the weight room.
No,
we didn't.
We didn't either.
Mm-mm. No, we went out and did tumbling or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's good for core.
It is good for
probably,
core. Yeah.
Like that. You're right.
But to understand
yes.
that a weight room is intimidating.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't understand it. Right. So that is great. And I think we have come a long way in terms of options outside of the weight room to tone and do muscles like bands and things like that, that are less intimidating. That I think if people just spent a little time with someone like Lauren, investing and understanding it, like it's just like the reverse diet. Once you understand how it works, you have flexibility to move it around. But you know, there's investing of the learning, right? And understanding. So
exactly. Yeah. And like you said, the intimidation factor is huge. So I'll start a lot of my beginner clients on stuff that's more bands or cables or dumbbells. We're not going to a squat rack right away. We'll get there, you know, and even still, I mean, I even get intimidated at the gym at the squat rack because you feel like everyone's watching you, especially you as a female, you feel like all the males are like, what's this chick doing on the squat rack? At the end of the day, they're not watching you and nobody cares what you're doing.
I know.
But you feel that way, you know, and so, yeah, that's huge to get that confidence in the gym is really big. And that's why I'll teach my clients a lot of different ways to do the same exercise. So that way, if a machine is taken or an area is too busy and they don't feel like going over there, they have another option.
Fabulous.
So Lauren, you said that you didn't like your arms. I don't like my arms either, but I got a bigger question. So we're going to talk about, can you transform parts of your body? So we have to tell you, Lauren, what episode was it where we talked about asses? I've never been the same. Okay, so
like there was
Casa Bella,
5 or 6.
The Italian underwear, which I love. Okay, sent this email, and I was sitting on it for 2 weeks to talk to Gina about, because you know I like to surprise her on the podcast. And I kept it in me, but I was dying for 2 weeks or something to talk about it. Casa Bella sent this thing about, because they were selling underwear, but they sent ass shapes, and I'd never thought about the ass shape. And then I saw the square ass shape, and I was like, shit, I think I have a square. And then they had the beautiful like heart-shaped ass, and then they had the triangle ass, and then the upside down triangle ass. And I was like, oh shit, I don't want that. That means you got a big ass waist and a little tiny ass. Okay. And I was like, can I just have Kim Kardashian's ass? Okay. And hers is, I'm sure, perfect. It's not a square. And so the question is, I mean, it's beyond the ass question, but the question is can you reshape your ass? And well, I want to know that. I really want to know that. Okay. Cause that's really,
you don't want a square any longer.
No, I do not. Okay.
I don't think you have a square ass, by the way, just so we're clear.
She's seen my pictures. She's seen my unauthorized pictures, which are deleted from the ethers, right?
Smart,
okay.
Smart.
So yes. So Lauren, can we do something training to reshape and retone, even for older people, that we get this thing, this wobble, whatever we call that thing? Okay. Can we do something about that?
Yes. So you cannot, I know, relief. You cannot spot target for fat loss. So, you can't go in a caloric deficit and be like, yeah, I want to lose it all in my arms. Because guess what? Where do we as women always lose it? In our boobs and in our ass, of course, where we want to keep it. Which is funny because I always grew up with a big butt, and that was not in when I was, then it was the cardio and the tiny, 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 skinny girls. And then now all these girls, all they have to do is, not all they have to do, it's work, but now they get to eat and squat, and that's what's in right now. So everyone wants a butt right now. But you really can. The important part when you're working out is to work all of the muscles. So like shoulders, for instance, and I won't use the fancy words. I'll use the English. So you have front, you have back, and you have side muscles. So if you want rounded shoulders, you can't just do a shoulder press. You need to work all of those muscles. Same with the glutes. You have maximus and minimus. You need to work both, and your hamstrings. Girls who maybe do have more of a straight up and down figure, they do want to build a bigger bottom half, and they do want to build a bigger upper body so that they have more of that hourglass shape. So a lot of girls, if you don't have bigger, well, this is huge for guys too, but just for females, if you don't have a bigger upper body, if you work your lats and your shoulders and then your bottom half, you're going to create that illusion of a smaller waist too, because you're making your upper body bigger. So it's very, very possible, but if you want to build muscle, you have to eat. So a lot of people say, well, I want to lose weight and I want to build muscle. Okay, well, you might be able to do both if you're just starting out. If you're going to be 100% on nutrition and you're going to train hard, you might be able to do both at the same time. But the reality is you kind of have to pick one or the other to start with. So that's why we start, reverse diet, less cardio, more lifting. Then let's diet down, add a little bit of cardio, and we'll kind of peel back the layers on everything that you've been working towards with building those muscles. So yes, you can change your body shape, but you have to be patient, and you have to eat.
What is like when your clients ask, what is kind of the time frame that you would typically expect for somebody to start to see meaningful changes going on with someone's body based on the diet and the exercise and all the foundational things that you're helping them with? Like, kind of what's that? And I know it's different for everyone, so I'm not trying to box you in, but just generally speaking, like what kind of a runway do you need for your body to start to like manage itself in the way it should once you have all those things in place?
Yep. And we have a lot of people ask that question, and that's a very realistic question to ask, especially when you are investing in something, because maybe that question is coming from a financial standpoint. And it is a hard question to answer because, like you said, everyone is different. It also depends on your compliance as a client. There is a little bit of trial and error, not knowing your body and, until we start. But I ask that everyone give me at least 8 weeks before making a decision on whether to move forward or not. Because if you give me 4 weeks and you think you're not seeing results, that's not a fair time frame, especially if maybe the first couple of weeks you yourself are trying to get into a routine and a habit. So I ask for, give me at least 8 weeks, but we're definitely not like this is going to take you 12 weeks or it's going to take you 16 weeks kind of studio. So we don't like to do anything for less than 8 weeks. So even if you need to start with the reverse diet, we want to do that for 8 weeks. And then you're likely going to want to cut, which is going to be at least another 8 weeks. So it really depends on everyone's goals and where they're starting. But I feel like most clients, and especially if we do those photos, you may not think you're having progress. And then if I put your photos side by side, even a month in, you're going to see that you're having progress, and that's going to motivate you to continue. And Holli, I think, is a great example of that. She didn't think she had progress till I put them side by side, and she was like, oh my goodness.
Well, it's interesting because, I didn't like my first photos that I took because I took them right away. And then, I don't know, we did it. I don't know. We did it a few months in, whatever it was, a quarter in or whatever. And I was like, took the pictures. I thought, I still don't look good. And then she went and put them side by side. I went, oh, shit. Okay, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And it wasn't like I had huge weight loss. I mean, I had some weight loss for sure, but I wasn't at goal, but I looked different. I mean, the square ass looked different.
Smaller skirt. Well, I guess that's my question, because I mean, I think within certainly the 4 and 8 weeks, I saw change. Right. I didn't see the change that I'm seeing now, in that I feel like whether it's just body resistance to food, toxins, I don't know what it is, honestly, but I feel like, and it's not always weight. Right. I have definitely lost it, but I feel trimmer and slimmer and leaner,
and
in an interesting way that I'm like, I can't really attribute it to anything other than I think my body's just finally in a rhythm and in tune, and it's liking what I'm doing, and it's not fighting me. It may feel nourished, or, whatever it is, my body seems happier.
Yeah,
sure.
I think 8 weeks
lighter
minimum. I'm with you guys on that. The 8 weeks is minimum.
Yeah.
And that goes by like that.
Months.
I was thinking longer, at least a quarter, at least 12. But I was thinking that, I definitely had lots of progress in 8 weeks. I mean,
I did too. Yes.
I was like, and then that liberation of just being able to, and then the refeed. I mean, you talked about that. I love that.
Yeah.
There's no such a thing as cheat. That would go against LOA Uncorked lingo as well. That refeed where you get to go out to dinner, or, you get to go have drinks with your friends and you don't need to count it. Okay. So it's liberation, but I definitely say go longer than 8 weeks. But I can see why 8 weeks would be minimum. And I'll just tell the people that you think that's a long time. It is not. It is not. And you'll see progress along the way. That's what I would say.
Yeah, exactly. People have to remember when we say 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16, whatever you want to call it, that it's not like you're not going to see anything, and then all of a sudden at 16 weeks, you're going to see it.
Right.
Exactly. Well, if you think about it from an educational, this is it's learning the things that, that whole food pyramid we learned, honestly was just not enough in terms of
It was wrong.
Learning
it was a lie.
That's doesn't
you lied to us.
Yeah. So I think, if you go into it recognizing this is the learning that we all need to do to be able to educate, manage it ourselves over time.
Right.
It's going to take, it will take you some time. It's because it's a dial that's different for every person. So
it's an investment, not only financially, but it is a time commitment. But, I remember as a kid, so my mom's name is Deneen Austin. So we always used to do Denise Austin workout videos as a kid. And I remember she'd always say, you only get one body, take care of it. And it's so true. People are like, well, I can't afford a health coach. Okay, I get that that's not a lifelong commitment you want to make, but if you can buy your $5 Starbucks every day, you're spending $150 a month on coffee. I think maybe you need to look at your priorities then. And don't get me wrong, I had Starbucks this morning, so I'm not saying that shouldn't be one, but don't use that as an excuse not to invest in yourself. I think that's so important, and then talking about the refeed versus cheat meal, that is we don't want to put those negative connotations out there, because so many people that come to us do have a bad relationship with food. So not only are you investing in your health, your goals, your education, but also your mindset, and, you know, creating a good relationship with food, and knowing you can go out on a date night or go to brunch with the girls and enjoy yourself. And it's not the end of the world. You don't need to do extra cardio the next day. You don't need to not eat the next day. It's just part of life.
What has been like the working with all the clients that you work with? Like, what is the one mindset that when you hear from clients that you're, you know, it's going to be a bit more challenging, that you need to go to work on? Like, is there a certain wiring, a certain thought process, a certain approach to changing this part of your life that you've seen people struggle with more than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really, you know, I do work with mostly women, and I think that fear of eating, or fear of not doing 7 days a week of an hour of cardio is huge. And it's hard to break that mold, just because we have thought that for so long. And, you know, we're not psychologists or doctors by any means, but I do, you know, we've talked about, it's all a mental game. And so you have to get your mindset right. You have to be willing to make the changes. You have to be willing to trust the process a little bit to do this. But I'm not going to let you, this is what I always tell people, I'm not going to let you gain weight week after week after week.
Right.
I'm in this for your progress. I want to see you succeed. So, you know, if that starts happening and you're being compliant, then okay, we might need to change our approach. But if you have one bad week of gaining weight, sometimes that sets people back mentally. And you have to remind them, you know, sleep, digestion, hormones, water, stress, all of those things affect our weight. And a 1 to 2% weight fluctuation is totally normal. If we were at our goal and we were 2 pounds up one day, we probably wouldn't really care, right? You know, next day would be back down. But when we have that mindset that we're trying to achieve something, and then you think you failed, it's really hard to break that. So I really try to, you know, be your cheerleader, motivate you, support you, but I also have to remind you that there are so many outside factors that affect your weight, and eventually people get it. And I remember telling one of my clients, I don't remember if she'd even gained or lost weight that week because it didn't matter, but she told me she went out to eat and she enjoyed herself and she got right back on track, and she had a few drinks with her boyfriend that week. And I said, congratulations, you finally found balance.
I love that.
So true. I love it.
You know, I feel like I loved what your mother said, that you only have one body, you know, and you have to take care of it. And we lose so much. I felt like for myself, I lost so much energy thinking about, you know, what should I wear, or rechanging my clothes a million times in the morning because they didn't look good, or, you know, I've gained weight, so I don't fit those jeans anymore. I can't wear it. I mean, there's so much lost time, where if you funnel that time into your life purpose and how to bring more joy and more light to the world, you know, and so there's a way of there's almost a responsibility of taking that. If you're happy with how you are, that's perfect. You know, stop and go no farther. But if you're obsessing about what to eat, it just detracts from your life.
Yes.
Purpose. And so from my standpoint, if you can afford it, get the tools you need. So I absolutely believe, one, we should all be in therapy if we can afford it. And in therapy, you do work on those mental things about food. So I will say with our deal, Lauren, my therapist had said, you know, make it more of I would eat and run and be on the go and, you know, eat while I'm working like most people. Right. And she's like, make it more mindful. Like, this is like an honoring of the food that came to the table, and thank the food and thank the
farmers.
You know, I go the farmers
and
the worms and all the insects that help make it happen,
and the rain
and the wind and the glory.
I mean, you think about, there's a lot that happens.
And she said, there is, and I can't grow lettuce. Okay, Larry, I'm so happy when I get my lettuce because it's there and it's clean. I don't have any bugs on it. It's so great. Okay, so I worship the farmers because I can't do it. it, right? And so there's a sense of, if you can make it more meaningful, that we're not just stuffing our faces. And when I get, because I've come from that, you know, where I just run around the kitchen, eat while I'm cooking, and then I'm full before the meal, and then I eat the meal. I mean, it's just backwards. And so if we can, so a therapist helped me do that. And then a coach like Lauren, I think I need to go to work on my training coach. We might need to do that too, to help the square aspect. But and then a coach, you know, those things are the core of the essence of the light that you carry every day. So I think it's super important. If you can afford it, it's something absolutely you should do. And I would recommend it.
Well, and the being mindful of eating is so important. And, you know, I am a huge foodie. I love good food. I grew up going out to eat with my dad all the time, so I appreciate it, but we eat to fuel our body at the end of the day. So like you said, being mindful of that and being grateful for that. And, you know, would you rather walk around the kitchen eating crackers while you're cooking, or enjoy the steak? Like, you'd rather sit down and enjoy the steak, right? And but we're busy. And, you know, I used to do that when I was in corporate America. I would sit and eat at my desk, and I would just scarf it down, you know, and I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't tasting it. There was no point, you know. I might as well drink the protein shake for my meal at that point, because I'm not even enjoying it. So that is huge. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Sure.
I love that. So Lauren, I mean, we think you're a really special person. And we love the pandemic, like, threw you out into the world. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience that you think would be beneficial?
I think, you know, don't be afraid to live your life, because when you're on the beach, nobody knows how much you weigh. Nobody knows what size your swimsuit is. And if you want to wear a bikini, wear your bikini. My opinion is, if you don't like it, don't look. Enjoy your vacation. You'd rather have those memories. You know, what are you going to remember from that vacation? You want to remember the memories, the good meal you ate. You don't want to remember feeling self-conscious at the beach. So I think that is so important, whatever that means for you. Like you said, if you're happy where you're at now, or if you have goals, then let's take the steps to get there. But it's not just physical. It really is mental too. So we need to work on both ends of that.
I love that.
Was beautifully said.
I love that. And for a chubby kid who's been chubby my entire life, with exceptions for certain periods of life, you know, there have been so many vacations and so many things that I kept waiting till I looked better, to wear the things I wanted to wear, to show up the way I wanted to show up. And it's so unfortunate when you look back. Like, no one remembers. And I mean, even when I looked, what I thought I looked bad, I mean, I look back at those
good.
pictures,
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that's,
I would look like that now. I mean, that's the other thing. It's so unfortunate. And
it's so unfortunate. I remember deferring things. I thought, oh my God, I can't wear a swimsuit. And it makes me want to cry. It's awful. I mean, you feel the same way about your aging. It's like, you know, either your body or your aging is all body. Okay. Like, you think, oh my God, I didn't look good then. And you're like, okay, image, please. Right? Yeah. So sit in your power, sit in your goddessness, rock the bikini. Yes. Rock the whatever you're doing, you know, you look smoking hot, like just be confident and enjoy yourself.
That's like, walk down that beach and go, look at my square ass. Oh, yeah, baby. You wish you were square.
You wish you had a square ass.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so true. Exactly. Well, Lauren, tell our audience how to get a hold of you. Yeah. And we will put this all in the show notes, by the way.
Of course.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So if you go to the Body Shop Gilbert website, the best way to get a hold of me, or even any of our coaches, is to fill out the questionnaire. It'll go over your goals, that food diary, that we talked about, and then you can select your coach. My name is Lauren Featherstone. I would love to help you. So you could select me. You could put the podcast or Holly or Gina's name as how you heard about us. And then I'll reach out to you. We'll get on the phone. We'll talk about your goals. We'll customize a program for you. Another good way to get a hold of me is on Instagram. I'm LawFedFit, which I'm sure they'll tag in here. And we can even DM, private message about your goals there, and then move on from that point.
I love it.
I feel like Lauren should just stay with us. And maybe we need a third co-host. Like,
we do.
It's so delightful. I mean, this is so great. It's so it's inspiring.
Very
actually.
inspiring.
You were fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Well, we really appreciate you coming and sharing all your knowledge, all of your wisdom, all your inspiration with our audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the chance to share it. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, you too. Thank you, Lauren.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We believe in magic. This is Holli.
And this is Gina.
The LOA uncorked definition of magic is recognizing something special has occurred and you don't know how or why.
And we invite each of you to experience more magic, joy, lots of laughter, all while uncorking your inner badassery to up-level your life.
Everyone, welcome to the party.